Okay, and we're live. So thank you all for joining once again. And we hope you really be learning so much from our sessions. And today we're bringing a brand new topic, which is building a standout portfolio. And I know it's usually an hassle, right? Because many people don't know what a DevRel resume is supposed to look like. Is this supposed to look like a normal software engineering resume? Or supposed to look like a community? I don't know, but there's a lot of like fuss about it. And there's not so much resources out there like, oh, this is how you're supposed to structure or build your resume. And this is why we have blessed him here. He's the developer relations manager at Seco for EME. Congratulations to you, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. So the very first thing I'll be asking is, could you please tell us a bit about yourself? I mean, I know a lot about you because I know a lot about you. But could you please tell us like a bit about yourself and how you got into DevRel?
Well, okay. Yeah. Thank you. Nice to meet everyone. So, I'm currently developer relations manager at Seku, and that involves me doing a lot of developer relations activity. But my background was mainly it started as a data scientist and a software engineer. So I didn't start directly as a developer relations person. I started with more of like data science and doing a bit of machine learning and AI and doing software engineering as well. But how DevRel started for me was that I applied for a role, a visualization engineering role, which combines software engineering and data science all together at a company, an AI company. And during my first interview, the manager spoke to me that you've got this extensive skill set. You have like good communication skills. You've created a lot of courses and articles and just everything that a developer relations person would have on their portfolio, which is what we're going to talk about in this session. You kind of have everything
Yeah,
on your resume. So, sorry, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Well, okay. So you sort of have everything on your resume. Why not consider applying for this developer relations opening that we have at the company rather than applying for a visualization engineering role? So I thought of oh, this is a great opportunity, and that was actually my first time
Yeah,
learning about developer relations engineering.
yeah,
So I did a lot of research about it, and then I applied, and fortunately I got the job. So that was how DevRel
yeah.
started for me. Not like I love to tell people that DevRel found me rather than me finding DevRel. If you get
Find
my
your well.
yeah.
Yeah, I do. I do. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's quite a very interesting journey. But it needs to be of
Thank you.
question. What would you have done if you applied for the DevRel role and you didn't get it? You
Yeah,
know, like
I would have, I would
that
not
role.
have stopped. Yeah, I would not have stopped, right? Because for me to apply for a DevRel role, that meant I really wanted to get into DevRel. And I've heard about DevRel. I tell you, it's a really nice role, right? That was before
Mhm.
I even got a DevRel role. So I thought it was it's a really nice role. And I thought maybe sometime down the line in my career, maybe like after 5 years of 10 years of doing maybe core software
Would be
engineering
DevRel.
or core data stuff, I can then move to
Mm.
DevRel because that's sort of like that's usually what you see common in the industry. You see like really experienced people
Yeah,
doing DevRel, but because a lot of companies are now building products that needs developer education, that needs someone with
yeah,
empathy to understand people who are building on those products, now opens up this requirement for a lot of DevRel roles, and a lot of people are now recruiting for DevRel roles. So, if you are smart, if you are a good communication, if you have great communication skills, and you've done a lot technically, you can obviously land a DevRel role.
agree, agree. So yeah, we are going to officially start the question now.
Okay,
So I
thanks.
know as a manager, you would have probably seen a lot of resumes, probably
Yeah,
be in situations where you hire people. What
yeah.
do you think are skills and experiences that most managers or most recruiters look out for in develop people?
Oh,
Like
okay.
when you hire a develop person, yeah.
Yeah. Because thank you, because like you said, because I've been fortunate enough to be on both side of the screens, right? I've
Table. Yeah.
yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be on both side of the screens. I would say what if you're what a recruiter or like an hiring manager, let me speak from an hiring
Mhm.
manager perspective, what they are looking out for
Yeah.
when they are recruiting for DevRel is number one, are you strong technically? Like if I'm looking at a resume, I'm scanning to see everything you've done technically. Like, oh, what project have you built? What tool did you use to build the project you built? Right. And I'm not looking for I'm not looking for like a definitive skill set. Like I'm not looking for someone with like core JavaScript experience. If the role requires me to pick a particular technology, then I'll do that. But if the role is just developer relations, I'm looking for someone who is technically enough. So I'm looking at everything you've done in the past. Were there like really
Okay.
great technical stuff, right? So you must be strong technically, like programming language. You must know at least one or two programming languages. You must have used that to build something, and it could be in like your past experience or maybe open source project, which you're also going to get into. And then I'm looking for your communication skills. As you are strong technically, have you been able to articulate things clearly, like get your thoughts from your head, put it into like a well structured artifact that you can share publicly? And that means maybe have you done videos, have you done articles, have you written research papers, anything that would show that I can really trust your critical thinking when it comes to communication. Yeah, right. So that's also another thing I'm looking for out for on your resume. And also, are you a people's person? I'm putting it like that because most people say, "Oh, we're looking for community-minded person." I feel like what they're
Yeah.
actually looking for is they're looking for people's person because when you get into a room, how do you relate with people? Can
Relate
you
to other people. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Can you understand what someone is going through and be able to like communicate with them and help them understand and help them solve a particular problem? And also, well, like because for example, if you see most DevRel people, they're always at conferences speaking to
Yeah.
people, right? So, are you a people's person? Right. So, and there are a lot of ways you can show that on your resume. Maybe you've led a community initiative, you hosted a conference, or you hosted a meetup. It might even be just a small meetup on WhatsApp group. And don't get me wrong, people will be like, "Oh, I'm an introvert. You're an extrovert." No, you don't have to look
Yeah.
at it that way. You can be an
Mhm.
introvert and still be people's person in the sense that you can be virtual, right? You can have like a WhatsApp group that you started and help people understand a particular technology. Have you done something like that? It might be so simple, but I'm looking for that on your resume. And also, another thing that I'm looking out for is empathy. Do you understand? Like, do you understand? Like, can you put yourself in other people's shoe
You
and
should.
really know what they're
Exactly.
doing?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, as a DevRel person, yeah, that's basically what you're doing every time. You're really understanding what the developer problem is, and you're putting yourself in someone's shoes. For example, let me give you an example. Say I'm writing an article about a piece of technology that just came out. I might know everything about that piece of technology, but someone might be reading that article for the first time. Can I
First time.
explain it to them in the light that they'll be able to understand? Can I put myself in that beginner's mindset? And for you to be able to do that, empathy comes. So I'm looking for a lot of all those things. So just to summarize, those are kind of like the I've said top 4 or 5 things that if you have on your resume, it would probably move you along to the next stage. Yeah.
So just to recap, technical skills.
Yeah.
Are you a people's person? Can you
Yeah.
manage people? So how good can you communicate? Those are like the core things that you need to
Yeah,
have.
yeah, yeah, and empathy.
Empathy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like we see 2 points. You've sort of maybe like answered all the questions I have on my list. Well, that's important. So the next one is I would have said what does a standout resume look like? Because I know I've seen people's resume. I'm like, wow, you did all this. This is so amazing. Like, how would you like when you see a resume? You know, oh, this resume is awesome. How would
Oh, okay.
you like? What are the qualities that you see that makes you think, oh, this resume is awesome?
Okay, yeah. Most people often get stuck trying to build like the most beautiful resume. Like they use all this color, different fonts and stuff. I would say like keeping your resume simple is like the best thing you can do for yourself, right? Well
Yeah.
structured. The moment you see it, like because the way like some like someone said something that it takes a recruiter or an hiring manager 5 seconds to scan through your resume. They're scanning down and
Resume
they're scanning like this. So you want to help them find information so quick and
faster.
easily. Exactly. So all those guys that have resumes with like different boxes, colors, and everything, that's not that resume will not like let you stand out. So as long as you can keep it simple and give your work experience in order of with the recent one on top, that way I can go through everything and then focus on numbers. If you led a community initiative, say, oh, I led community of 100 people, 200 people to do a particular to solve a particular problem or a particular goal. So be number focused and also show your technical skills. So I built X project
Very good.
using Y technology and Z maybe infrastructure, keeping it simple. So that way I know that, oh, this person is a really good JavaScript developer or a really good TypeScript developer because they've done this. And if you can help me see that really, really quickly, that's probably what I would put in my recommendation or in my appraisal. Or probably that's what I'll probably ask you to tell me more, or probably that's what would pique my interest to want to know more. Like, oh
Interesting.
wow, you did something. Can like I would love to speak to this person and ask them more about what they did, right? So keeping it simple would really, really help you accomplish all of that. So your technical information must show. Let me know the kind of programming languages that you write, maybe one or two. Let me know the kind of framework you've worked with. Most people don't care about educational background, right? So yeah, if you think it's cool, you can leave it there. If not, it's still fine. So long as you have your work experience, your project that can really understand who you are technically and also pick all those other information really, really fast and simple. I think you're good to go. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
And I
So
think
yeah,
I've got a resume. So sorry to cut you short. I see a lot of resume
but
on Twitter that they'll be like, oh, this was the resume that got me into Google.
I'm also
And
about Microsoft and Google.
yeah, and those
Just
people will be like, post like that would have like 49K, like 49K
like
likes or
yeah,
like 20K retweet. Those resumes,
impression. Yeah,
yeah, they are really, really good because they kept it simple. You can pick all the information you want straight. It's simple.
yeah,
So if you find something like that on your Twitter timeline, I would recommend bookmarking it and just reproduce something similar. It's the content of the resume that matters.
no matter. Okay. Yeah, so there's always this argument, like it's a back and forth. And people say, oh, how long is my resume supposed to be? One page is too small to, by the time I put open source, put community, put all of this, one page is filled up. Even 2 pages, by the time I put like maybe 3 work experiences, put summary, put all of this thing, 2 pages, that's finished. And now you're saying it takes a recruiter just like maybe like 5 seconds or 10 seconds to read your resume. So typically, how long would you say like the ideal standard that a resume should be? Okay, considering that DevRel has a lot of things, say DevRel resume, like how long is it supposed to be?
Okay, amazing. So I'd like to put this into two buckets. So there are
Okay,
two people. One person is trying to apply for a role, and then there's another person who they are seeking out for a role. Do you understand?
okay,
The first person
yeah,
is going on websites, submitting resume, trying to apply for a particular role. The other person, recruiters are coming into their DMs and be like, "Oh wow, I've got this role. And I'm looking for someone with your skill set. Do you want to consider applying?" Right. So
yeah,
first of all, you have to figure out. It's painful, but you have to figure out what buckets you fit in. Are you the one constantly like? Are you the one constantly trying to apply for a role? And it's totally okay. It might be that you're just starting out your career and you're seeking out
yeah,
opportunities, or it might be that you're in a different position in your career. Maybe you are transiting and you're moving from one place to another. It's totally fine.
Canada.
Someone like myself, every day on LinkedIn, I get messages from recruiters like, "Oh, I've got this DevRel role for you to consider." I literally have to put my open to work off so that I stop getting all those type of messages, right? I'm in a
Notification.
different position. The kind of resume I would submit would be different, would be completely different from the one that another person who is trying to get that role would submit.
So,
So let's
yeah,
focus on the person who is trying to apply for a role because I feel like that's the bucket where most people would fit in.
most people
Right.
fall into.
So if you're trying to transition maybe from software engineering to DevRel, or you're just applying for your first DevRel position, I would focus on keeping it short and concise. And the reason is because if you are applying for a role, they are going through a ton of resumes, right? So they're probably spending 5 seconds to like review each resume. So the moment they can find the hook that they are looking for, let's use this analogy. I create Instagram shorts a lot, right? Instagram and TikTok shorts.
Yeah.
If you can keep it to like 60 seconds, people, you would get a lot of engagement because the attention
Yeah.
span, like they say, is short. The same thing goes
It's
for
very
when they are, yeah, it's very tiny. The same thing goes for when they are reviewing your resume. Because they've, maybe someone has like 200 resume to review, right? Because if you see, if you're on the back end of people that are processing resume, you'd understand this and
yeah.
that, wow, they actually do have a lot of resume to go through. And the thing is, now in the age of AI, it's not even easy because a lot of people have used ChatGPT to generate stuff, then they're adopting it into their resume. So people are just scanning and just removing and removing. So you want to keep it simple. And like I said, it's the content that actually matters. You want to surface the important things you've done. You want to make that come up first. So that's kind of like your hook. Imagine, compare like this video that has like 2.6 million views on Instagram. You can definitely tell that the hook is something that piques everyone interest. Like, wow,
Very catching. Yeah.
I really, really want to watch that video. Then you be there till the end, right? But the hook got you in first. So figure out the hook for your resume and let that shine across, like let that shine on your resume. So I'll say I recommend, like if you're just applying, keep it to one page. Someone like me, I think my resume is more than 2 pages or 3 pages, and I don't care. The reason is because I'm in a different position, right? I'm
Position.
in a
Yeah.
different position right now because I've obviously had like a lot of years of experience. And someone like me, the more I can show, the better, because the more I can show, the more recruiter or somebody that's looking at my resume will say, oh, this person
This
can
person
earn
done a lot.
this salary because he has done a lot. Yes. So me, I
Yeah.
can have like 2 to 3 pages, right? It really doesn't matter. But if this is your first time, right? If this is your first time applying, try to keep it to like all those one page that they show on Twitter. They are really, really nice. If you can have have a resume like that, so long as the content that is present inside the resume is has a lot
Make a
of
lot.
value. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. Yeah. That works.
I
That
mean,
works. That's
that question was probably, you were probably expecting me to say, "Oh, have one page for this, have 2 page." No, 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 no. I feel like
yeah.
it's more nuanced than the way we see it, right?
Yeah.
And people are in different positions, so we need to really
Yeah.
understand. Like, you really need to understand where you are.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, for example, I have like my resume is 2 pages. I tried. I tried to make it one page, but I could not
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that's why I like open source contributions, community
yeah,
engagement, other
yeah.
stuff that are very key for DevRel rules. So
Yeah.
that maybe to
Yeah,
just
I
one
mean,
day
it's totally fine if you
role.
still keep yours at 2 pages because you've tried to like remove. And I know, see, the thing is, when you try to keep it at one page, you've actually removed a lot of unnecessary
A whole lot of
information.
stuff.
Yeah, so what is left behind is they are still important and they can still work for you when you submit your stuff. But don't
Yeah.
make sure that it's more than 2 to 3 pages because nobody would actually spend time. Because as long as you
Nobody
have
was
the most important information in the first page and then you have other stuff like open source contributions now, because it might be on the interview and you'll be like, oh, I can't see you've not done any open source contribution. Be like, oh, can you go to the second page of my resume? I have it there.
yeah. As opposed to saying, "Oh, I removed it and I was trying to make it one
Yeah,
page."
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
so that was a lot.
yeah.
This one is for like probably new basic to DevRel. For people that have never done any form of DevRel and they actually want to go into DevRel, how
Okay.
would you say? I don't know. What do you say should be in their resume, or how would you tell? Because I know most of them may not have so much experience, maybe with public speaking. Probably they've
Yeah.
written a bunch of articles and done a ton of projects. But how would you say their resume should look like? What would you advise them to do if they've not really held like a DevRel or a previous DevRel role before?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So for someone who they've not held any DevRel role and they are transiting into DevRel for the first time.
DevRel.
Yeah. So what I would recommend is I recommend that you focus on three things, right? Focus on your transferable skills. Were you a software engineer in your past experience? Or that means you can transfer your technical skills to your DevRel roles, right? Were you
Mm-hmm.
someone who has worked on a ton of technical projects, right? Before you move into DevRel, that's something you can carry along. Then the second thing is open source contributions, right? Have you done a lot of open source contributions? Because open source contributions has everything baked into it. It has community minded right? It has technical
Yeah,
information. Because if you're contributing to open source, you're probably pushing commit to a particular project, right? It
exactly.
shows that you
Yeah,
have that great teamwork. It shows that you have the empathy to become a DevRel person, because you're thinking about how other people would see your work and how everything will fit into a main goal, right? So I would focus on open source contribution for if you are transiting from a particular role to developer relations role. And then
yeah,
yeah, and then the third thing is understanding how you can be of value to that role that you have just applied to, or for that to that role that you're considering for. Because let me use myself as an example. I moved from like core data science. My role before my developer relations role was as a data scientist, right? So and then I prepared the presentation. I prepared sort of like a proposal of how I would become of value to the role that being considered for, which is the developer relations role. And then I told them that, oh, I might not have all these things on my resume, but I'm showing you that I've done research, understand everything that you need, that I need to understand about your company, about your
by
needs,
your
and
company.
yes, how I can add value if I were to be selected as your developer relations person for this company. So if you can focus on those three stuff, so because the two of the stuff I mentioned comes before you get the opportunity, but when you do get your
Yeah,
interview opportunity, you can then really go home and tell them that, wow, if you are not hiring me, you are missing out.
you're making a mistake.
Yeah,
Yeah, it takes a whole lot of him to say that though. And some
yeah.
of us are just trying to like, let me just even get this one interview. So before I know, like there's a lot of process. Like before a human eventually even goes through a resume, there's this ATS issue. Although I would not actually say I know how ATS works because there are debates that oh ATS does not actually filter your resumes. It's manual. I don't know. There are just like a sort of debate about it. But how would you say when you're submitting a resume? Do you think I have to tailor my DevRel resume for every role that I'm applying to? Because that can be very stressful. And how would you say I'm putting myself into this scenario now. So how would you say I should tailor my resume so that in a way it finally gets to the hand of somebody that reads it, not a machine that is sending me automated response. So how would you
Okay. Yeah, so for those who are not familiar, ATS is application tracking system. It's kind of like the first system that your resume goes through
resume
when
goes through?
you apply for a role. So I would say few things. The first thing you need to do when you're applying for a role and you're using your resume, you're using your resume to get through the ATS system, is to ensure that your resume aligns with the keywords that are present in the job description. So a recruiter or someone on the back end has posted a job description. The system is looking out for resume that matches directly with that job description. So if you can use certain keywords that are present in that job description in your resume, you'll get through the system, right? Because if I'm looking out for someone with a technical experience, I've obviously put the keyword in that description. And then if you have that on your resume, it shows that you can definitely, like, your resume would pass the system. So focusing on having your job description, and you can easily do this with ChatGPT. Copy the job description in ChatGPT, copy your resume in ChatGPT, and then tell ChatGPT to make sure that your resume would fit for the ATS system and also or aligns the job description with your resume. And ChatGPT will spit out a really nice resume for you that aligns with the job description that they've posted, right? So that's sort of like the first thing you want to do. You want to ensure when you're applying for a role and you want to pass the ATS system. Then the other tips I've shared, keeping it simple, make sure that all your strengths are like top of the resume. Don't put them down, because if somebody's not using ATS, they're probably scanning with their eyes. So you want to help them find that information quicker and easier. So
faster?
yeah,
Yeah.
faster. So when you focus on that, definitely you'd get through the first stage. And also another way that I always tell people to apply for jobs is don't 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 you don't have to apply for most jobs, right? Be creative. And I'll give you an example. Say there's this company that have just raised funding, right? You can see it on probably TechCrunch or The Verge or any of
I
those tech,
Combinator.
yeah, or probably on Twitter. A lot of AI companies are raising funding right now. So if you see a company that have just raised funding and you see that, oh, they are building a developer tool or they are building a particular tool, you're obviously thinking in your head that, oh, they would need a developer relations person in the
Sure.
future, if not
Yeah.
now, because probably they've just raised funding and they are looking to expand their team really, really quick. So you what you then do is you then go back to that proposal thing I talked about. You prepare a really nice proposal of how you would be the best DevRel for them, and then you tell them that this is what you need and this is how I'm going to help you get what you need. And if you can get that to like the hiring manager or like the CEO, and that's where code email comes in, or code messages on LinkedIn, which is something
Yeah.
you need to learn how to do with LinkedIn. If you can do that, it puts you in a position where you get the job even much more better than someone who is applying
I
on the
just
website. Yeah.
yeah. That's I think I've read that before.
Yeah. No,
That's
and
an
it's
answer
something
for
I've
sure.
done. It's something I've done, right? It's something I've done. So I'm
Yeah.
telling you that it works.
It works.
Yeah, it
Big
works.
time it works.
Yeah, but you just have to be patient. You just have to be patient, right?
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
I got an interview because I reached out to the CEO or and the hiring manager
Mhm.
on LinkedIn. That's how I got an interview. And I'm sure a lot of people have been applying for the same role through the website and they have a ton of resume. Because
They
think
say
about, yeah, have you ever been in this situation where you have a lot of messages to read on WhatsApp? Let's say because it happens to
yeah.
me. Sometimes I get like 200 messages to reply on WhatsApp. I get into this
Yeah.
tiredness that it makes me leave the platform, and then I go to a platform where I have less messages, maybe
Less
Twitter.
messages. I just respond.
Yes, maybe on Twitter or Instagram, and then I become very active on that platform because I then reply all my messages on Instagram or Twitter because I have less messages to go through on that platform. The same thing
On
works
that
for
platform.
resume. So if the recruiter finds out that they are getting a ton of resume through the job application board, they might leave it and then focus on people that are giving them value by reaching out to them on LinkedIn or other
Oh,
sources.
yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. At least it helps them with the stress, or even by recommendation, because they don't have
or
to go
even by
through the stress of
recommendation or even by recommendation, and that's where networking comes in, because when you network there are people that can vouch for you that, wow, I know this person, like Blessing can do DevRel, reach out to Blessing, or yes, Blessing's LinkedIn profile, reach out to him. It's faster, it's better than just going to the job application board and just applying straight up, right? Yes.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I think this is another debate. A lot of people don't like to write cover letters. I don't know why, for whatever reason. They feel like, oh, cover letter is a waste of time. Recruiters don't have time to go through cover letters. And I know this is very controversial. What would you say? Are cover letters important, or they are not important, or we should just skip it? I've seen people say, oh, when I'm applying for a job, and I also say that cover letter is it's compulsory to like upload your cover letter. You just leave the role and not apply. What would you say? Do you hiring managers actually read our cover letters, or it's just a plus one that we are doing?
Sorry. Hmm, that's a very good question. Cover letters, are they important? I would say for someone who has been on the end of not writing cover letter when I'm trying to apply for a job, let me give you my detailed answer. So cover letters again depends on the type of job you're applying for. If you're applying for a job that requires you to show your communication skills, which developer relations is one of them, I would highly consider that you write one and you consider writing or you consider uploading a cover letter, especially if the job application board requires you to upload a cover letter. So I would highly recommend that you take your time to write one. And it's not so hard when you have ChatGPT. You can do this. You can have your resume in ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT to use your resume and the job description to generate a cover letter for you. So ChatGPT is going through your resume, everything you've done, is looking through the job description, everything they put there, and then it's coming up with a really nice holistic cover letter for you. And don't stop there.
Yeah,
Take that cover letter, add a couple of information, make it to yourself, make it human, make it personal to yourself or to your story, and then have this standard cover letter that you use whenever you're applying for a developer relations role, whenever you're applying for certain jobs. And don't fall into the bandwagon of people saying that, this, I'm not uploading a cover letter, because what you then find out is that it might just be the cover letter that would help you stand out from a
Yeah.
lot of people, right?
Borrow.
So if the opportunity requires you to upload one, I think you should consider having a cover letter. In my case, right, like I said, someone like me, I'm different. Like most people just ask me for my resume and then I submit it. And another person or another group that should consider writing a cover letter is if you are transiting from one role to another role. So if you are moving from software engineering to a developer relations, you
Ever.
need a cover
Yeah.
letter to help other people understand your story. For example, help people understand why you've done certain things in your career, right? Help people see what your resume cannot portray. Help people see the type of person you are. Oh, you have great communication skills. Your resume might not even show clearly that you have great communication skills, but your cover letter
Yeah.
can, right? So take time to share more story through your cover letter. So that's how I consider. I would not say, oh, don't submit cover letter. Oh, submit cover letter. So again, it's very nuanced, and you have to consider your exact situation when you're applying for a job.
Okay. So maybe I'll just say, please start writing cover letters. It helps a lot. I don't know, but it really
Uh,
helps. I even
yes,
write a cover letter.
sometimes,
So I don't
sometimes,
know.
sometimes it might be a waste of time. Trust me, it might be a waste of time, and it might be a way. Yes, it might be a way to filter because what you don't understand is when you're applying for a job, it's bi-directional. You are also considering if you can work at the company while they are considering if they can work with you. So if
I
you
work with
see,
you.
yes. So sometimes if you see, like sometimes I see some job description that they ask a ton of questions. Like they can ask like 5 questions when I'm applying for a job. Sometimes I don't apply for that job because I feel like
Okay.
they would be like it means I might not like want to work with them, or it means that their culture
Yeah.
doesn't really align with me. Because why do I have to go through
Yeah.
all this process to apply for a
Good.
particular job? Yeah, and again,
Yeah.
please consider your specific situation because when you are looking for a job and you really don't have a choice, if they ask you to write cover letter, you write it. If they ask you to answer 10 questions, you write it because you've got no other option, right? And it might be that that's your first job, right? So like I said, it depends. So you need to consider your situation, your exact situation as that's when you're applying for that job.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. For people with more experience, it's very, very maybe optional for them. But
Yes,
for people that
very,
just
very
start
optional. Very,
like
very optional.
we do not have a choice. Write that cover letter, answer those questions because that may be your only opportunity.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
now my next question is towards the interview. Let's say maybe after taking all these tips and then your resume is now better and then you apply for a job and then you finally get to interview. What would you say are the typical questions that I usually ask during interview for a DevRel? Because I know many people say they'll ask about your communication skills, technical skills, but I don't know like what are like the actual questions. If you just give us like some, like feel like if you are to hire somebody to your company, what are like the questions that you would ask to be sure that oh this person I want to work with this person.
Yeah, let me do you one better. Let me pull up some questions that like I've seen or that they've asked me in the past, right? For a dev
Yeah,
role. So maybe that would help, right? So I'd
yep,
say like actual questions is as a dev role, as a developer relations person, they want to understand again how you can think, your critical thinking skills, and then your communication skills. How do you explain stuff? So a typical questions will go like this: how would you explain a piece of technical concept or a particular technical concept to a non-technical audience? So I feel like if you are applying for a dev role, a developer relations role, that's one question that you should have answer to like this, right? Because it shows the person on the other end how you can think, your critical thinking
okay,
skills, your communication skills, your technical skills. Because in that question, I can deduct a lot from your answer. So you want to make sure you really practice your answer to that question. Then another question that comes up is how do you stay updated on industry trends as a developer relations person, right? Because staying up with industry like trends helps you like communicate to developers good technology, update to technology,
yeah,
and different other information, right? And then they can ask you that how would you handle negative feedback from developers? That's also another question, because with that question, they really want to test your other non-technical skills, right? Because ability
Skills.
to take feedback from developer is also a requirement of being a great developer relations engineer. Then last question that like I think is common is, what metrics would you use to measure developer relations success? Because at the same time you want to prove that there's return on investment for everything you are doing as a
Everything.
developer
Yeah.
relations engineer. So you want to tie that back to the success with metrics of a particular initiative. So those are the kind of questions that you should practice if you want to get a developer relations engineer role.
Yeah. But on the issue of metrics, like I said, I know it's
Yeah.
usually very, very hard to measure DevRel metrics. Like there's no there's no specific way to measure DevRel metrics, or if you know any, you could like just share, because I've seen people say, "Oh, DevRel is that you can't measure DevRel metrics. It's not possible. It varies across different organizations." You say are some of the metrics that can be used to measure a successful DevRel initiative.
Okay, yeah. So I would say again, metrics is very nuanced as well. You have to make sure that the metric that you're measuring ties back to the company metric or the company
Yeah,
overarching goal. So the company, they must have a particular goal. Oh, we want to grow the users of our of they want to grow the number of users of our developer console, or want to grow the users of certain API, or want to grow the user of a particular platform. That might just be the company goal. So everything you're doing as a developer relations has to be tied back to the overarching company goal. But you have to ensure that they are not marketing directed goals. Because as a developer relations, there's a thin line between marketing and developer relations. And
ever. Yeah,
oftentimes, yeah, oftentimes, depending on the company needs, they mostly always cross it. So you have to be, as a developer relations, understand number one, what you are doing and how your job translates back to the goal of the company. So you can say, oh, this goal doesn't align with what I'm doing, right? This is how I feel like this goal should be communicated or should be articulated. So things like, oh, when you go out there to speak at conferences, a developer signing up for a particular API key after your workshop, that's a non-brainer goal for a developer relations, and you should be able to tie that back to the return on
initiative.
investment, the salary they're paying you, or the budget for a particular initiative, if you are speaking at
Initiative.
conference, or if you're doing a developer program. So every time, just have to think that, okay, this I'm doing, does it make the company achieve this goal that they would want to achieve? So that's just how I think about metrics, and I've done this like for a long time. So that's how I think about metrics, and that's helped me really be clear with what I do and also a company achieve their goal.
Yeah, that works a lot. I think that's like one of the things I've heard of DevRel metrics in a while. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
my
It's
next
not, it's not
question.
as direct like, oh, measure this, measure that, measure this, measure that. You just have to take time
Yeah,
to really understand the company goal and just ensure that they are not marketing directed goal, because they are also
Charlie.
marketing people whom their job is to just go out there, do a lot of marketing activities like do ads, or do like campaigns, and then get maybe different, or and then achieve their own goal. But as a developer relations, you are selling without actually selling. You're offering value first before you actually achieve something for the company. So you just have to be really careful.
Yeah, yeah, that explains it a lot. That explains it a lot. So now for I think my next question is for DevRel, do you think it is necessary, or do you think it makes sense to add like your non-technical skills or your non-technical experience to your DevRel resume? And I'll explain. For someone like me, I have like a customer support background. So would you say it is kind of ideal if I sort of add it to my DevRel resume? Because I know DevRel has to do a lot of communication back and forth. For you to have a customer support or customer service experience, it means you really know how to communicate, you know how to relate with people. So for people that do not have customer support experience like me, probably other roles like that, but they are not technical, do you think they should sort of add it to their DevRel resumes?
Yeah, yeah. Very good question. DevRel is, like I said, DevRel has the technical side of it and the non-technical side of it. So if you have an experience as a customer support person, definitely let it show on your resume, because as a customer support associate, you've probably shown a great deal of communication skills, shown a great deal of empathy, shown a great deal of project management, right? And all these skills, they are transferable to your DevRel role. Aside from like your programming language, building, right? All your aside from all your technical skills. So if you have an experience, maybe your background actually started as a non-technical person, definitely find let it show on your resume, because that might be something that would make you stand out amongst other people. Because sometimes it's tough to recruit for DevRel roles. Some people over-index on technical experience and then they lack non-technical
Leave
experience.
on
So as a
technical.
developer relations engineer, what make you stand out amongst the rest is a fine balance between your non-technical skills and then your technical skills. So having a way for that to show up easily on your resume, I would definitely recommend. But you have to be careful though. You don't want to let it overshadow the core thing that they're
Shadow.
looking out for. So, for example, if you have like customer support role, if you have like maybe 4 customer support roles and you have 2 software engineering roles, I would limit the customer support role to only one, and then let the two software engineering roles show up, and then maybe customer support just be one. Because yeah, I wouldn't want that to overshadow your core skill as a developer relations engineer.
Yeah, yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I have some more questions to go.
Yeah.
And I feel like everybody wants to hear this one. How do we look for the errors? I know you said when it comes there is money, like you can go for check companies that raising money, send cold email, send cold DMs, reach out to them on LinkedIn. But aside all this, because I know this can be very tedious. I did it one time and I just knew it was not it
Yeah.
was not
So
easy. So
yeah.
things from all of this. What are the other ways that we don't know? Because I know you have a lot of experience. Maybe you
Yeah.
have like six. So
Yeah. Yeah. So broadly speaking, I would say that the traditional way of going out to a website, clicking on that apply button, sorry, excuse me, clicking on that apply button and then submitting your resume to apply for a role, I would say don't consider that. That doesn't work right now, because the reason is that there are 100 or 200 people just like you doing the same thing, right? So if you want to get an opportunity in a niche skill set, or a niche field, or a niche professional field, like developer relations, I would really recommend that you think creatively. For example, there are ways you can do that. I want to apply for a role, a developer relations engineer role, for a piece of technology. Let's say it's a JavaScript API technology role, right? What I would do is I can start a blog post, or a blog platform, or sign up as like on maybe Medium or Dev.to, one of these popular medium of writing articles.
plugin
And then
platform, right?
I'll start churning out articles that speaks to that particular piece of technology that I'm looking for a role to, right? So if you do that consistently, you start coming up as a thought leader for that particular piece of
That
technology.
particular thing. Yeah.
Yes, for that particular technology. For example, again, JavaScript. You can start a blog corner for JavaScript developers. Start writing, teaching people how to like teaching people everything that you know about JavaScript. And slowly over time, if you do that consistently, people will start seeing you as, oh wow, read Blessings article on JavaScript. They are really good. Blessing is one of the thought leader that we know in JavaScript space. Before you know
Space,
it,
yeah.
a company, I can then go to a company, or I can then apply now, or go to a particular hiring manager who is looking to recruit for that niche role, developer relations. That wait, I know I'm a thought leader in JavaScript. I have this community that I've built, and I have all these educational materials that I've written over time. Can you consider me for a developer relations role? Right? That puts you way ahead of so many
Great. Yeah.
people. Yeah, because not a lot of people have done what you've done, right?
What
So
you've
that
done.
puts you way ahead of so many people. So if you know that it's a personal decision, if you know that you want to apply for a developer relations role and you really want to focus on JavaScript, or you really want to focus on Web3, for example, which is also another field that is growing, which I'm fortunate
Yeah.
to be in, right? And they are looking out for a lot of developer relations roles, right? So you can create a blog post as you're learning about Web3, start writing articles or start creating videos. You can even go as far as starting a YouTube channel, start a programming YouTube channel, or start a technical YouTube channel. Also, you're practicing your communication skills, you're practicing your technical skills. So it's a win-win for everybody at the end, rather than just saying that, oh wow, I want to start DevRel. Let me just go to this website and start looking for DevRel roles and start applying.
Apply for them. Yeah.
Or even it's very easy now on Twitter. You can Blessing Adesiji. I'll just start churning out articles on JavaScript every day, every day, every day. Before you know it, I've gained 10K followers or 12K followers, and then a company can
Yeah.
easily reach out to me that, wow, can you come and speak at our conference? We're looking for a developer relations role, right? And that's how you get there. And that's how I got my developer relations role. And all these things I did, I did not direct. I didn't do this directly. I did this as part of like my experience over time because I'm always creating videos.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always writing articles, right? And that helped me when I was looking for my developer relations role or when developer relations role found me. Don't
I
forget we
found
established.
you.
Yeah. Found me. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I think that's one of the core things that most people miss out on. I mean,
Yeah.
applying for jobs manually by going to maybe Greenhouse or Smart Recruiters would have worked in like 2020 or 2021. That time
Yeah.
that they were very, very shiny. Now times are hard. A lot of people are looking for
Times
jobs.
are hard because the thing is, a lot of people have been laid off. A lot of people have been laid off. So
Yeah,
many people are out of their jobs, and it just makes it tough for you to land a role. It makes the competition like really really
very
hard.
yeah,
Yes, it makes it very stressful to land a role. So you want to think creatively. You want
yeah.
to really put a lot of effort in before you can get a role, or just before they can consider you for a particular position. And yeah, so that's what you have to do. So you have to do what you have to do to get what you want to get.
To get what you want. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that makes perfect sense. So I think this is like my last question.
yeah,
I know people say social currency. Oh, you have social currency, and then there are also people that are saying, oh, all of you that used to do branding on Twitter, you're just branding yourself. You are a thought leader. What's the thin line? What do you think for people that wants to be developer professionals? What of what value is social like a very strong social presence gives to them? Maybe they have like very strong social presence on Twitter or LinkedIn. You know, when
yeah.
people see people posting about like all these kind of articles that you see, like maybe it's just one of those people that just want to get attention and you know, and for their very I mean, like you said, you need to like put yourself out there. So is there like a thin line between this like, oh, you're just doing this thing for personal branding, or you're just doing this thing to actually learn, also help you land a role?
Yeah, thank you very much. I would say don't listen to all these people that say don't do branding on Twitter. Don't listen to what anybody is saying. Like do what you want to do, and it's very important now to actually build your personal branding. And I've shared this with so many people, right? We've slowly moved into an a type of economy called the adaptive economy, and you can Google this and you can
Yeah.
look it up online. And what that means is that there are a lot of things that speak for you when you're being considered for a particular opportunity. Before we had
Yeah.
the knowledge economy where you become successful with what you know. That's where we have lawyers, engineers, right? But now we have a different economy called the adaptive economy, and a lot of people can do whatever with their personal branding, right? So if you want to be seen as a thought leader in a particular space, as you are learning, share your story, give people, because you are giving people so like a lot of value by just sharing your story. So even if you are not there yet, because what people are saying on Twitter is they expected you to be there yet before you can even say certain things. No, I disagree.
Yeah.
Even as you are a beginner, tell people that wow, today I struggled with JavaScript, I struggled with data structures and algorithm, but yes, what I found out, and I'll keep doing that till I can get it. Just
I
sharing that
get
story on Twitter, I can tell you there are like 100 people that would follow you because they are also going through that struggle, and they can relate with
yeah.
what you're currently going through. So I think don't see it from like, oh, I'm building my personal brand, I'm building this, I'm building that. See it from like, oh, I'm sharing my story, I'm giving people a ton of value online, and I hope the universe retaliate and bless me also with value. And the
It's
value
a
is,
job.
yeah, is the job or maybe an opportunity, and it might just be that you actually grow an audience by doing that, right? And there are a lot of examples that you can see on Twitter. But the reason why people are saying on Twitter that the reason why they are saying that don't build your personal branding on Twitter is that there are a lot of people that have done that through fraudulent means by stealing other
Yeah,
people's job, and then posting it as theirs on Twitter, or
yeah.
posting it as theirs on any online platform. So those are the kind of people that has prevented other people from wanting to do similar stuff. So, but if you can really focus on sharing your story, as long as it's authentic, you're giving value, and then you're growing technically, I would say there's nothing wrong with sharing on Twitter, and then hoping that the universe blesses you in return, and then you get a role, or you get an opportunity, or you grow an audience by doing so. Because don't get me wrong, everybody wants money, everybody wants to make money. That's why we're all doing what we're doing.
Yeah,
So don't let other people
yeah.
tell you otherwise, because what you find out is somebody that is saying that don't build personal branding, they're also somewhere sharing that, oh, I spoke at this particular conference, or I did this, I did.
Corporate.
Yeah, so now you'll be left wondering.
Left out.
So don't get caught. Do what you have to do to get what you want
Yeah,
to. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And in addition to what you said, as you are doing personal branding, just be very sure. I think Tejas said in the last webinar we had, as you're also doing personal branding, make sure you really know what it is that you're saying, and you're not just like maybe taking content from somewhere else. So that when
Yeah.
they eventually say, "Oh, this is thought leader," and then I interview thought leader, and thought leader does not have any thoughts to share. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. Very, very correct. Very correct. And sometimes people ask questions on Twitter like, "Oh, I'm trying to solve this. Can you help me?" Like, and you see a
Yeah,
particular post like that get like 1K likes or like 2K likes because other people can relate to your struggle. So I see it
yeah,
from like just share authentic story, share your story, share your struggles, and then share technical value. Just by if you can focus
yeah.
on those three things, people would not even like people would not tag you when they are talking about this guy is trying to grow a personal brand. They just see that you're doing your thing.
Branded.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because for someone like me on Twitter, I try to stay very clear of the noise. I just sometimes it might not even be technical stuff. It might just be that I read a book and I gain a particular stuff that I feel like other people would get, and then I'll share that on Twitter. And you see that post doing so well, and people following me because they feel like, oh wow, this guy is wise. This guy can do this. Yeah, I'm just sharing what I saw, what has helped me. Right. I'm not trying to sell you on
thank
a
you.
call.
Honestly, this has been so very insightful. Somebody in the comments is saying this has been so insightful. Like I
Oh
sort of know
wow.
these things, but then you saying it made it very clear because unlike other roles like software engineering, or you want to apply for technical writer, you want to apply for, they are
Yeah.
like, oh, you can do your resume like this. Almost everybody has a template, but for DevRel, it is very nuanced, like you said.
Yeah, it is very
One
nuanced.
size does not fit all in this case.
Yeah. And that speaks to the reason why it's been difficult to get people in DevRel. Because unlike software engineering that is like, oh, learn JavaScript, learn this, learn that. There's
Mm-hmm.
no direct pathway for you to learn developer relations. So
Relations.
you mostly just find out like most people like pick stuff by learning and just trying stuff out. And thank you for doing stuff like this. That was why I was really excited to be a part of this, because
Yeah,
again,
we
it's
are
an
excited to
opportunity
have
for me to
you.
share from my experience. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. I don't even know because I've a whole lot, and for people
Mhm.
that did not, join, I sort of transcribe this into like a blog post format for people that don't like to watch videos, so they can
Oh,
also read
nice,
and they can have
nice.
both. Yeah, so I'll be doing that. And to all our viewers, thank you for joining us today, and we hope you had a nice time like I did. And we'll see you next time we have our next webinar. All right.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Let me know
Yeah,
if you want me to do this also in the future. Right, really, really
yeah.
amazing. Thank you. Yeah, bye.
Yeah, you can always reach out to Blessing on Twitter. We're going to like tag
Yeah,
his
yeah, yeah,
handle
yeah, yeah.
and
Reach
his
out to me. Let
as
me. Yeah, I think my handle is blesso_a. So you can always reach out to me on Twitter
and
or
we'll attach it when
full.
we are posted.
Yeah,
Yeah. Let me end the stream now.
yeah. All right, bye.